Okay, what if I told you that right now there's a second CEO walking the halls of your organization? An executive with this incredible, powerful voice, but they're totally unseen. Well, today we're going to figure out exactly who that is, and more importantly, how we can start listening to that.
It all starts with this really big idea. I mean, just think about it for a second. In your company, right now, who's the one person with the clearest, most unfiltered view of what's really going on? You know, who sees the actual truth down on the ground floor?
So who is this mystery executive? They definitely don't have the corner office, probably don't have a seat at the main board meetings, but the intelligence they have is absolutely executive level.
See, this person, they see risk way before it ever shows up on a spreadsheet. They get the gap between how work is supposed to happen and how it actually gets done in the real world. They're the ones who sound the alarm right before things are about to go sideways. And here's the kicker, the really surprising part. This person, they usually live in safety. Yep, you're safety professional.
But that brings up a huge question. If this voice is so critical, so important, why is it so often ignored or marginalized or just tuned out? Well, it's because of something called the compliance trap.
And this right here, this is the heart of the problem. We've got it all wrong. We frame safety in this really flawed way. As compliance, rules, enforcement, basically a corporate cop. But when we do that, we miss the real intelligence that safety holds. We're talking about the stories, the near misses, and the absolute clearest view you can get of human behavior when the pressure's on. That's the executive level insight we're just letting slip through our fingers.
So the most important thing to get is this. The problem isn't the safety professional. Not at all. It's the outdated frame we put around them. By boxing them into a role of just checking boxes and enforcing rules, we completely strip them of their true influence and their ability to prevent problems before they even start.
All right, so how do we fix this? It takes a pretty powerful reframe. We need to see past the compliance officer and start recognizing the executive hiding inside. So let's talk about the safety CEO, the executive voice of prevention.
Now, let's be super clear about what we mean here. The safety CEO isn't about replacing the actual CEO. Not at all. And they're not some kind of disciplinarian or just a rule enforcer. No, they are the strategic executive voice of prevention. Their entire goal isn't to punish what went wrong, it's to understand and communicate how we can get things right naturally, from the get-go.
And just to be clear, this isn't about becoming some kind of corporate influencer. Let's forget the buzzwords. The safety CEO's role is so much deeper than that. They are a sense maker. They take all this complex data, all the stories, all the near misses, and they distill it into clear, actionable intelligence that the whole organization can use.
Okay, so that's the big idea, but how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Well, the shift is all in the communication. It's about moving from the language of rules to the language of signal. Let's dig into what that actually means.
So first, let's just define what we're talking about. A rule, right? A rule just tells you what to do. It's simple. But a signal is totally different. It shows you what happens. It reveals the patterns hiding underneath how work gets done. And that creates a much, much deeper level of understanding.
So, what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it's a huge shift. Instead of just handing someone a checklist, you're giving them context. Instead of just enforcing a rule, you're trying to understand why a shortcut happened in the first place. And instead of just writing another policy document that sits on a shelf, you're focused on recognizing the patterns that are actually creating the risk.
And you have to understand, this kind of language is incredibly powerful. I mean, we've all heard a persuasive sales story, right? But safety stories, they carry this unique kind of authority. They warn. Their power comes from real, lived experiences and those heart-stopping close calls. The stakes are real, and because of that, people listen.
So, what does this language actually sound like? Well, the safety CEO speaks in sequences. They explain cause and effect. They use concrete, real examples. And what they avoid is just as important. No cheesy slogans, no fear-mongering, and absolutely no blame. This is all about clarity, not about coercion.
And look, this is so important. You can slap safety-first posters on every wall, right? But that's not what changes a culture. It just doesn't work. Real, lasting change. That happens when powerful stories get told and retold, and when we start naming the dangerous patterns out loud so everyone can see them.
And when this shift finally happens, when safety finds its executive voice, the results aren't loud or flashy. They're actually pretty quiet, but they are profound. And it all leads to what we can call natural prevention.
So what really happens? What are the actual benefits when your safety leader truly steps into that safety CEO role? It goes way beyond just the numbers you see on a report.
You start to see the change in these leading indicators of influence. Senior leaders, they just start listening differently. They start asking for context, not just compliance data. The teams on the ground feel safe enough to share information about near misses way earlier. And here's the key. You'll actually see incidents start to go down before the official metrics even have a chance to catch up. That's real influence in action.
And the end result? It's honestly transformative. When safety starts to speak with this executive voice, you see trust across the entire organization just soar. Resistance to safety initiatives? It totally plummets. And prevention, well, it becomes this natural, ingrained part of the culture. It's not something you have to constantly enforce. And that is the goal, right? To create an environment where people make safe choices because they truly understand the why, not just because they were told the what.
So let's end on this one. Really powerful idea. Maybe the biggest shift we all need to make is to just stop thinking of safety as another department. It's not. It's an executive function. It's the part of the business that has this incredible, unique ability to see things first. And I guess the question that leaves us all with is, are we actually listening?